Hi, welcome to the Forecasting for Success podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brie. I'm a doctor of psychology, financial educator, astrologer, and founder of Forecasting for Success, a community of people improving their financial literacy to achieve financial independence. I blend my expertise as a former professor and financial intelligence analyst with the tool of astrology to help break down why you are struggling with specific money habits and the best way to form more intentional responses and choices when it comes to money, especially to help you feel more secure in your financial decisions and improve your money skills for building long-term wealth. Hello, welcome back to the Forecasting for Success podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm speaking with Kristina, who is a psychic medium who graciously shares her story of how she developed her skill set. She also offers yoga and Reiki for her clients and was so kind to provide a mediumship reading for me as well in the second half of this episode, which was not only very generous of her, but I found genuinely helpful too. I encourage you to share this episode with your close family and friends who can also benefit from what Kristina shares with us today. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome to the podcast, Kristina. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me on. I'm super excited to chat with you and see where this episode goes.
Me too. I'm really excited. And honestly, would you mind introducing yourself and your area of expertise first? That way the audience can get to know you better.
Yeah, so again, my name is Kristina. I go by the moniker of Kristina Cosmic Butterfly on all my channels, and I am a psychic medium. I am more in the realm of evidential mediumship, so I gather evidence and give it to you about whoever is coming through for you on the other side. I have been on this like spiritual journey for I think going on 6 or 7 years now, since 2018, 2019. And yeah, I started off with, unfortunately, it was the passing of a loved one for me, which really kind of catapulted me into this whole journey of like, mediumship and spirituality and just the floodgates just opened into this world for me. And so my background is I did not really grow up with any kind of spiritual basis or beliefs. So mediumship was something that I felt like, okay, well, I have to obviously follow my loved one to wherever they went and figure out where they are now and what they're doing. So I didn't have any mediumship experience really. I took a class, I learned, and it's been, the ball has been rolling from there. So, yeah, that is my background with mediumship anyway. But I've, again, on this journey, have been learning through a lot of different modalities like Reiki, somatic healing, yoga, and I'm just very passionate about helping other people, not just helping them, but empowering them to, I suppose, take example from me, where it's like even if you don't feel like you were born with any magical powers, you can always learn and empower yourself and use it to help your own life.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I am actually sorry to hear that you had a loved one who passed away. That's obviously very challenging. It's fascinating to me that it speaks to the power of your bond, though, that it brought you into this journey. That's a very fascinating story of how you had your path grow in this way. And it's lovely that you're able to keep that connection, but also help others in a unique way as well with this expertise that you have.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's funny looking back at it because I feel like I'm kind of my own inspiration sometimes because when you want to try and do something so badly and then you make it happen and you're like, wow, I'm very capable of a lot of things actually. So it's kind of funny to look back at that. But
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an excellent point, actually. Whenever it comes to people having questions about intuition or how to be more open to their intuition, is that an area that you're able to speak to and help clients with?
yeah, absolutely. And that's a huge part of the work is helping people to just listen to their own intuition and understand how to do that. Because it's one thing to say, just listen to your gut, listen to your gut. But for me, it was all about what am I supposed to be listening for? How is it supposed to feel? What am I supposed to be getting? And I have a very like technical mind like that where I tend to overthink a lot of things. And so in the realm of spirituality, a lot of things are very ambiguous and fluid. And for me, I was always chasing kind of like trying to calculate exactly like the formula to receive and to listen and to get all this stuff. So a lot of my work does kind of like walk in that realm of helping people understand, okay, we're going to take a few deep breaths. We're going to sit in the stillness, and I'm going to help you, give you prompts, and you tell me exactly what emotions you feel, what memories come up, things like that. And I try to really break it down for people so that they can kind of recognize and acknowledge these very subtle things that come up. It's not always very obvious. And so that's a lot of where my work lies, is to help people like bring attention to that. Oh, something did come up for you. Let's follow that. Let's listen to that. And obviously, the more that you help people recognize it, the more that they will recognize it. And the example I love to use here, it's like watering a seed. It's like planting a seed and watering a seed, the seed of attention, where as soon as you wake someone up to like, oh, something did come up. And then the more that you water that seed, every time it comes up, it's going to grow and grow and grow until it's very big. And then, it's easy for you to recognize, oh, now there's a giant plant here, if that makes any sense. But that's where I'm coming from.
Oh, very much. And it's such important work, I really feel, especially in the modern day, because we don't often get the space in order to sit and be present with our intuition, with our emotions, with anything that might naturally or organically come up for us. Because I completely agree with you. Often little indicators or flags of something that we need to pay attention to are usually quite subtle. I've joked before that we might not want the big, slaps across the face. Like we might not actually want those incidents.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is really important work that you're doing in order to help people recognize the little things, the little nudges that we get that are important for us to pay attention to.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What are some interesting tools or helpful tools that you often like to blend into your practice in order to help guide people when it comes to their intuition or messages that they might be able to tap into?
Breathing is a big one. It's such a simple one, but breathing is such a big one. And it really just comes down to, and it doesn't have to be the cliche, oh, take some deep breaths, but it really is just take a breath, just breathe, just take a big sigh, because that really does change a lot within you when you're like, okay, let me just sit here for a sec. So reminding people to breathe, which is one of my favorites, is like just breathe. That's a big tool. Another one is to use, I love to remind people to use what works for them. Not everybody wants to sit and meditate. Not everybody wants to do yoga. I
Mhm.
fully understand that. Some people love to garden. Some people love to tinker and work with their hands. Some people love to do puzzles. And it really is just kind of getting your mind into that state where, you know, you can allow things to like flow through you, if that makes sense. Because, when you're doing a puzzle, you're kind of so focused on like what piece is going to fit where. And you do have thoughts come up when you're doing that stuff. Even when you're going to the gym, you're running on a treadmill, you're thinking about things. It's really about getting into that flow state, I feel. And, for me, that comes with meditation. My practice is a bit more slower paced than a lot of people. But what I'm getting at here is just everyone needs to be doing something that works for them, because it's not a one size fits all here. So that's a big reminder. I love talking to clients and figuring out, what is your routine like? What do you like to do? How can we figure out ways that are going to work for you to sit down and receive messages and guidance? There's quite a few clients that I work with who write poetry. They love to journal. They love to write in general. And so that's something that I love to practice with them, is like, okay, just start writing. Just start writing whatever is in your thoughts, whatever is coming up for you. Just go, like word vomit into your journal, whatever. And it can be something as simple as like, Okay, well, Christina told me to start writing in my journal, so here I am writing in my journal, and feel like this is silly. And anyways, the whole reason that I'm writing is about the way that I've been feeling yesterday, and you just go from there. You just let it roll, and things will come up. It's just inevitable. Like it will come up. You just have to give it, like you said, you have to give it the space. I think that's just a shame in society today where we are just so go, go, go. So it is so important to reclaim that power of taking pauses and slowing down and taking a moment to be with yourself, not your obligations to anyone else, not your obligations to society. Just take a moment for yourself.
100%. I completely agree. And I'm so glad that you brought up this really important point of there being all these different types of meditations, because I think that's still some misinformation or a misunderstanding is that people believe they have to very quietly sit and not touch anything, not move, and just be quietly inside of their thoughts. And there's actually so many different types of meditations. Like you're saying, you can do puzzles, you can knit or crochet, you can even do a walking meditation. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up for people to find a way to have a quiet moment and get into a state of flow, as you mentioned, in order to let these little nuances come up or these little emotional indicators come up for themselves. Because that I really feel like even if someone just does it for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, it really can make all the difference.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so funny because, like you said, walking meditations as well. Most of the time when I'm dealing with like big feelings, I will go on a hike. And I'm not even going with the intention of like, I'm going to work stuff out today, but I'll just hike and things, you'll just kind of be walking out your feelings. And then you're done with the hike, you feel great. Like it all kind of came out of you. So it's just like really interesting how, like you said, there's a lot of different modalities for people to connect. And I think that's just the beauty in it is everyone's going to be a little bit different. There's a very unique way that everyone connects that is very unique to them.
Absolutely. And that connection is what's so important. It's just to find something that works for you in the moment, and even to remember that it's okay for that to evolve with you over time. Just because something might work for you in the moment doesn't mean you have to pick that modality, that style forever. It's perfectly fine to change and have it flow with you as you evolve.
I love that you said that. I love that you said it's okay to evolve and change because that is such a huge thing that I feel like I encountered with probably within like the first 3 years of me kind of like stepping onto this path is, I found like the initial ways of everything that worked for me. And then it started changing and then things started shifting. And there were, you know, either beliefs or practices that no longer fit me that I was very reluctant to let go of because they did work for me initially. And it is okay to know like things will change, beliefs will change, your practices will change. And I don't know why this is coming up for me specifically, but it's like, I'm just going to let it out on this podcast. But it's like, I never wanted to be like a wishy-washy person of like, oh, I believe this. And then like a couple of years later, never mind, I don't believe that anymore. I believe this. But that is exactly the path.
Mhm.
It's like changing your clothes. You wear a certain outfit for however long it serves you, and then you're like, this doesn't feel like me anymore. Never mind. I learned some new stuff. I'm gonna get a change of clothes. So I just feel like that's such an important reminder to put out there is it's okay to, go head first into what's working for you then.
Mhm.
And then when it stops working for you, it is okay to throw it out and be like, never mind. Now it's this.
Exactly. Absolutely. Everyone has permission to do that. And it's really something that I think is important that we name and we talk about openly because it's not that anyone has been dishonest in the moment. They were being honest with either themselves or with others, that whatever they were doing or they were thinking was truly working for them or it felt good in that at that moment. And like you said, we change our clothes over time. We evolve as people over time.
Hmm.
And I think if anyone does feel like someone would give them a hard time or would judge them for evolving, I think it's important to remember to re-examine that relationship, vice
Hmm.
re-examining who you are and your intentions. If you are honestly saying something's not working for me anymore and I'm going to do something differently, that's okay. And you completely have permission to yourself to do that. I think it's the relationship examination that needs to happen rather than people second guessing themselves. And that might be lost in the moment for some people if they're unprepared to be examined in that way, shall we say.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a very, I will say it sometimes does challenge your character, but it is more so serves as like a mirror.
Mhm.
You know, when someone is like, wait a minute, you used to say this, and then they're presenting you with a mirror where you can look at it and see and say, do I still look like the same person?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I think another thing that happens is that a lot of women entrepreneurs or women-owned businesses also do have to experience more judgment and more scrutiny, I think, than other types of businesses. And there's not a lot of space for us in order to discuss us evolving as experts. And so, to your
Mhm.
point, there were tools and styles of doing things that worked in the beginning. But as we grow as
Mhm.
people and as we become more of our own experts or experts in our given fields, obviously the beginner level tools aren't going to work for us. They're not as efficient. And we need to look
Right.
for new tools, new ways of doing things. And so, again, it's okay to own that and to take ownership of that and just say, it's not that the tools don't work. I've evolved as an expert. I've evolved in this space. And so I need new tools and new ways of doing things. And that's another thing I think we need to name and ensure that someone else isn't necessarily holding us back to stepping into that, to stepping into a new level.
Yeah, isn't that such an exciting feeling though? I know for a lot of people it is kind of intimidating almost, where I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but I suppose somewhere in the realm of worrying where it's like, oh no, this isn't working for me, and they start to get concerned, like it's something wrong. But instead, I want to shift it because it's exciting. If something's no longer working for you, new things are coming in, and I find that really thrilling because I love surprises and I just love to be surprised in like the most best positive way. So, change is exciting and change is a constant. But I think that just needs to be served as a reminder a bit more often in your so beautiful, gentle way as you presented it.
Yeah, I love that. I love the way that you think about that is that it's a new and different way to empower yourself and to step into where you're going. I love that.
Yeah.
Whenever you're helping people, your clients deal with their energetic hygiene, I believe is how you call it. What role does this play? What role does this energetic hygiene play into people leaning into their intuition more or leaning further into their spiritual practices? I would love to hear more about what this is and how people can utilize this.
Energetic hygiene. That is quite the topic. Very important. So I may have to think about this one a little bit because
Yeah,
it's a
take
big
your
one.
time.
Okay, wait. So the question is energetic hygiene. How important is it in people in helping people to like understand it? And then what was the other part?
Yeah, I guess just how is it a tool or are there other tools that you action in order to perform this? I guess just to help me and also the listeners just understand what this is better in case
Yeah.
we need to incorporate it.
Yes. Okay. Now I fully understand.
Yeah, yeah.
Energetic hygiene, the way that I understand it, the way that I teach it is it's really just taking care of your energy, making sure that you're not taking on too much from your external factors like other people, your job, your environment, and really just keeping yourself centered.
Mm,
That's really what it comes down to is keeping yourself balanced and centered. And so the way that I teach that is, again, many different ways for many different people. Me, for example, the way that works for me is like intentional showers at the end of the day when I'm done with work, when I'm done with dealing with, whatever's going on in my life. I will just scrub away and just, I don't even like visualize specifically, but I just say, I'm now scrubbing away all of the day's energy and all of the stuff that I encountered throughout the day that's making me feel a little murky. Another thing is I have to go out on walks to ground myself when I feel frazzled, when I feel stressed out or maybe a bit anxious. That's energetic hygiene. That's taking care of myself, making sure that my energy is cleared so that I'm not in this like woo, 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 woo kind of alarmed headspace. And it really is just making sure, especially, and I think a lot of people will resonate with this, is when you're helping out your friends. Maybe your friends are going through a tough time. Maybe your family's going through a tough time, and you take that on. And that affects you, where now you're stressed about whatever it is that you're going through, but it's not your stress to take on. And so it's very important to, again, differentiate your energy from other things. And that's the hygiene of it, is constantly like cleaning and clearing yourself of this thing. And it doesn't have to be a very woo type of practice of like smudging or saging or, incensing yourself. It doesn't have to be that. If that works for you, then fantastic, because that's a really great way to do it. But it can also be just things in daily life, taking a shower, going for a walk, meditating or yoga, just shaking all that off. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's really helpful to understand because some people, especially if they are very open energetically or intuitively, you're right, they might be piling things on. And if they don't
Mhm.
presently think about that, if they're not taking a pause, they might not realize what they're carrying with them over time.
Mhm. And I feel it important to also mention is that it's not just in this energetic, invisible realm of like, oh, I'll just visualize and it'll come off, because you have the different layers. You have the energetic, you have the emotional, and you have the physical. And visualizing for me kind of falls into like energetic because it's not really tangible, right? So it's important to make sure you're practicing this hygiene on all levels, taking care of your physical body, your emotional well-being, and of course your energetic, the invisible woo part of it too. That's just the best way that I describe it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there are different ways, like you're saying, it might not be completely visible, but there are some ways that we might have indicators that things are a bit heavy for us at the moment. Because some people might put their shoulders up in case they're feeling anxious or overwhelmed. And so sometimes if you think about it, like, okay, let me get in touch with my body. Is there anything that's feeling really tense or overwhelming? And people might notice, like, oh, my shoulders are up a little bit too high. Let me take
Oh
those
my
down.
gosh. Yes, you're
So
giving me the chills, because that was exactly what I wanted to mention too, is like pay attention to your body. Your
mhm.
body carries stress, it gets tense, your shoulders come up, your abdomen might get really tight, and it's like, relax, breathe. We're gonna go back to
Exactly.
breathe.
Yes, exactly. So that's such a good tip for people to think, where can I begin with this? Like, is there anything that could indicate to me that this is happening? So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Do you have any other tips actually whenever it comes to people if they are interested in getting more in touch with their intuition or even beginning this journey of an intuitive practice? Is there any place that's a good starting point?
Oh, well, for me, I am a huge, huge fan of development circles or just practice groups. I feel like you can just learn so much in a group. So if the resources are available to find like, I don't know, some kind of like psychic practice workshop or a tarot workshop, or even like breath work or something in a group, in a collective. And it doesn't have to be in person, it can be on Zoom, which is the beauty of today's modern age, is that there's so much available out there at your fingertips. There shouldn't be any excuse. If you want to pursue it, just put yourself out there and find what you need. So I highly recommend finding classes and workshops. Yoga studios are a beautiful resource for this, because at least in my area and like the places that I've lived in, I've seen a huge expansion in not just yoga at yoga studios, but now like sound healing, breath work, journaling workshops. So I would go out into the community definitely and see if that's an available option. And if not, the internet is right here, Instagram is here, YouTube is here. See if there's anybody in your area, or even if not in your area, someone you resonate with. Maybe someone's offering kind of comes across your page and you're like, this sounds intriguing. Look into it and, see if it resonates with you, then you might as well try it on for size. I did try books. For me, that didn't really work because I love books, but when it comes to spiritual practices, like I mentioned earlier, I try to understand it in like a tactile, practical way. And the best way that I learned was through watching others, through learning from teachers. So yeah, learning through in-person kind of things. And aside from that, I loved, and I've actually put out a few of these videos early on in my YouTube channel. I loved watching these little YouTube videos that was like, guess the object that I'm going to reveal. It's like, guess the object in my hand. And, like I would guide people through, okay, how does it feel? What sensations are you getting? What textures? And then I'd reveal the object and, you'd kind of see how you did. So that was a fun way to get in touch with intuition. And those would probably be my big ones. Let me see if there's anything else I can pull off from experience. No, I really feel like that's the main one for me. I don't know. I'm like trying to dig, but I don't want to dig. So I feel like those are the main ones that I want to talk about.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm so happy that you mentioned that piece too about creativity, because I find creativity really helps people open up and think about things in more abstract ways that get the wheels turning. And sometimes that can often trigger us being more intuitive or more connected, making those connections that you were mentioning. That's awesome. Thank
Oh,
you.
you know what you just sparked in me actually is one way that I've recently been getting into with intuition, which is this is going to sound very odd, but moving around furniture and like moving things around and seeing how does it feel over here. And I'm not doing it just to like practice my intuition. It's just
Mhm.
because I maybe want to get a different feel in my room. And, I'll like move my table from one side to the other or move my rug facing a different way. And I'm like, no, that doesn't feel right. And so I'll move it back and then I'll be like, oh, that feels good. That's your intuition too. It's the feeling. It's less the thinking and more the feeling that you get from something.
Very much. That's actually a really helpful tip too, because sometimes people might have a hard time getting out of their heads, like you're saying, if they're researchers, heavy thinkers, and it might be more challenging to get in touch with what does intuition feel like? What am I really sensing or feeling? So that's a great way to break up the energy because you're right. You'll be able to key in pretty quickly about, as you said, whether it feels right or something needs a little bit more of adjusting. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really easy actually when you think about, I use this example all the time. And it's like when someone asks, what do you want to get for dinner? And they're like, oh, let's get Italian food. And you're like, oh, I don't really feel that. And then they go, okay, well, let's go get sushi. And you're like, oh, that sounds great. And it's that is exactly the feeling of what do you feel like you want? So I love to use that one all the time because sometimes you're not feeling a certain cuisine or you're not feeling a certain your
That's
intuition's like,
perfect.
no, not that.
Exactly. That's perfect. And I love using food as a language anyway, because I'm a big foodie. So absolutely, I key into that one 100%. Do you have any last words of wisdom for us or anything unique that you'd like to share with your audience in order to help people clue into how to do this more in their daily practices, or even something that people might not be aware of or could have considered as a possibility?
I would say the biggest thing that I want to share and to put out there is to make the space. That's just such a huge message is just if you don't have the space, it's going to be so hard for you to receive and tune in and listen. So definitely carve out some time. And it can be 5 minutes. It can be 2 minutes, but something. because it'll grow. You'll eventually find more time for it. The willingness is also very important, and showing like I want to do this. I want to try this. I want to try and connect to my intuition and kind of showing dedication to that a bit. I'm not asking here to be like boot camp every single day, 30-minute meditation, but you do have to like consistently kind of show up for it and be like, okay, today I'm going to try, and maybe every 2 days, make it fit with your schedule. But as long as you can try to stay consistent, that's going to allow more opportunity for you to connect, for you to receive. And lastly is learning to listen. Very, very important. And I love to use meditation for this one myself. And this is a funny story, but I actually learned this in my yoga teacher training. When I used to meditate before that point, I would get so frustrated when I would hear noises happening because I just wanted silence. I just wanted to
Wow.
meditate in the silence, meditate in the void. And if there were like things happening outside of my windows, I would just get so irritated. Then I took my yoga teacher training, and it was out in the jungles of Costa Rica. So obviously it's not silent there at all. There was like roosters crowing and like monkeys howling and like all sorts of stuff happening. And one of my teachers taught me use the noises around you to ground yourself into the present moment because the noises are happening real time, which creates that, the moment of being present, being here in the now, because the noises are happening right now. And so that helped me learn to listen because now I was actually paying attention to each and every sound, and I was hearing like, okay, there's a monkey over here, there's a rooster over here, there's like some animal shuffling in the grass over there. And it helped me to tune everything else out. So it was just like another pretty incredible way of using meditation that I had never really realized could be implemented before, because I always was under the impression meditation's this like super quiet,
Mm.
super deeply focused. And so that is tying it back to what I started with, learning to listen. I use that now. Now I live in a quieter space, so I don't have the same noises and distractions. But when I sit down now, I implement the same practice where I'm like listening. Even if there isn't any noise happening, I'm listening to what emotion is coming up right now. What thought did I just have 2 seconds ago? Why did I have that thought 2 seconds ago? How is my stomach feeling? I'm not asking these questions to myself. I'm just listening for what's happening inside. And it's a simple practice, which can obviously be overcomplicated by the overthinkers, but that's why it's so important. That is exactly why it is so important, because it will help to balance that overthinking out. And again, it's going to come with practice. I know nobody likes to hear that because everyone wants to be a master of their craft from day one, but it comes with practice and try and try again.
Yes, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because you're right, it's a way to help us get out of our heads because we might not even realize that we're letting our thoughts kind of run away on us. Because you're right,
Yeah.
if we're able to listen and ground into what's literally happening in real time, it can help us not overthink, to your point. So that's very helpful. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
of
that.
course.
I think next what we're going to try to do is see if it's possible to do a reading in case anyone is going to come through for you. So this is not something I've done very often. This is a rare opportunity. So thank you so much for offering this, and I'm excited to see what might happen.
Okay, so we will jump into the reading portion of it. I like to walk us through a little grounding, kind of few deep breaths as like, I'm a fan of the breathing.
Mhm.
We're glad that we're going to breathe. So from here, Brie, I would like for us both to just take a nice big full breath in and exhale. Just let it go, flow out of you naturally. I'm going to have you do that one more time. Big breath in and exhale, let it go. Now, I would like for you to just quietly say this in your mind. to call all parts of you that you may have left around throughout your day or your week or your month, and call them to settle back into your body, just with the intention to be fully grounded and present in this space to receive whatever it is that you need, whoever it is that you need in the space of this reading, for all that is for your highest good. And I open this space up in love and in light and divine truth. Okay, so give me one moment to just tap in and I will see who would like to show up for you. Okay, I have a woman here. She's identifying as your loved one. So I'm trying to see, trying to see if she's family or friend. And I feel like she's leaning more towards the friend side for you. She's coming through very joyous. She's very much a big fan of you doing, she's a big fan of you in general, but she's also just coming through so excited about your podcast. And I'm seeing she's showing me this very interesting scene of like how connected you are because she keeps pointing to your crown and like coming down to your heart and how, let me know how this is landing for you. But she's essentially saying, because she keeps showing me that all of this like spiritual energy that you're receiving, and just like whether you call it divine downloads or whatever it is, but these insights and this wisdom that you receive, it seems like you kind of like channel it through your heart space, where, because she's showing me this scene of like listening to either like insight or wisdom, and then kind of it coming down into your heart and you feeling very inspired to get it out to people and to share it to people. That's really interesting that she's showing me you because I want to know more about her. But did that make sense? Like, as in, do you tend to kind of go through it, like you receive something and then you're just like, "Ooh, I
I
want to."
do. Yeah, so it's really funny because I didn't realize what I was doing until I started recording myself because I have done astrology readings for clients, but I never played it back. It wasn't until the podcast where I played it back and watched what I was doing. And I was using language like, hang on, I need a minute. And I call it a bad habit, although I should probably stop using that term, to where I see an image very suddenly in my mind, and then I have to remember to use my words. And you're
Mhm.
right that I do this a lot with my hands to talk with because I'm trying to get it out what I'm saying. And I was using language like that's so funny. Like I don't know why that came to my mind. And so I just started to clue into the fact that I might have the ability to see and to share in that way, but it's the very, very beginning. And I don't quite know, is that really what's happening? Like, is there a way for me to channel this more usefully or appropriately in order to help people? And so it's interesting that she would mention that because it literally just clicked for me like a couple weeks ago, even though I've been doing astrology readings for a long time.
And now like the dots have connected. Now it's there.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. I'm going to ask a little bit more about her. And I want to ask her how you can recognize who she is or her presence in your life. It's really interesting. She's showing me this scene. Again, she keeps showing me you. So I guess this is how she wants to come through for you. She's showing me you sitting in a space. And I almost feel this sense of that she's giving me that you're like seeking or like wondering, questioning, but it's not even questioning. It seems more like you're trying to kind of like, am I going to get something? Like, am I going to get something here? And you're like you're looking for to receive something. Because I feel like you're kind of like looking around and almost seeing like, where is it going to come from? She is showing me this sense of you being very perceptive of what's going on around you because she's also bringing my attention like around the back of you and you kind of like being aware of yourself from all sides, which is interesting because I feel like she's saying like you kind of receive from everywhere, like you receive from all sides. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely does because I'm at that point in my life to where I know I need to pivot. And so I do believe I'm looking, like you mentioned earlier, I'm looking for indicators and I'm looking for little hints that, okay, this is the right direction, or oh wait, not that path. Like
Mhm.
stay on this path or whatnot. And again, because I just clued into the fact that this might be a possibility for me, I'm at I don't there's a lot of unknowns. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. I don't know if I'm trying too hard or if I'm not trying hard enough. Like, is there a reason why this feels like a void? It's just, there's just more questions than I typically have ever had before in my life. And so it's just a lot of up and down. Is this too much? Is it not enough? I don't know what's happening.
That's the questioning. You're like, huh, looking around. Okay, let me see what else she would like to bring through. Okay, so I'm feeling here like she's coming through more with like personality now. So we're talking about her now. She's coming through, and again, she's this woman, and she seems like I want to say like I'm kind of picturing her as like I almost want to say like a business partner, but I don't know if that's exactly. She's coming through more like a friend, but her demeanor is very collaborative with you. I don't know if this is going to make any sense. She seems on the younger side. By young, I would say like relatively young, like maybe in her like 30s or 40s. And she is saying that she is someone that you've known. And trying to see if I can see her more. She's got a really bright face, and I just keep envisioning shorter hair for her, and it seems lighter as well. And she just has this like very radiant smile. She seems like a really good friend who you could just go out and like grab coffee with and just have like a really lovely chat at like a cafe. Something about this like very casual relationship that she had to you. It's just like a very casual like meeting up for just like a little chit chat and like catching up. There seems to be she's kind of like leading me into that of like catching up with you and like seeing how you're doing and chatting with you. And I want to ask her for anything that would make her your connection to her very unique that you could identify. It's really interesting. She's drawing me to the top of my head and going like this. So I'm wondering if there's two things and if she'd like to give me both of them. She's like, there's not just one thing. There's not just one unique thing. It seems like there's like a few. Okay, I'm seeing like this lavender, this like color purple, but it seems like a lighter purple. And she's kind of like drawing it over my head. Something about that color really stands out to me. And it seems very, again, I'm seeing like the flower lavender. So I'm not sure if that's going to identify her to you or if that's something specific that was shared between you both. But she's also giving me, I feel like I'm in a lovely garden. She keeps pointing me to like this garden space of there being like flowers and it doesn't feel wild, like it doesn't feel like I'm out in the woods, but it feels like a very beautiful, like curated garden space. Would any of that make any sense to you?
It might be one of my guides because I do have two guides. And so she might be identifying as one of my guides. And that's why she keeps doing things like this.
Oh,
And it's more collaborative is because she's saying that she's not a loved one who's passed, a relative or a blood family member. Instead, it's her identifying as one of the guides.
oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See, that's the fun part about mediumship is like you really, it's just such a game of guess who and like clue of trying to figure out like what are they saying. So that is funny. So do you want me to identify further which one of the two, or you kind of have an inkling
It's okay.
of,
I think I know which one it is. So that's okay.
okay.
Hopefully I identified her correctly.
I feel like I'm getting a yes from her. Okay, well, let me see if there's anything further that she wants to share with you. I feel a lot of emphasis that, again, she's drawing me to my crown. And what I want to say here that she's bringing through for you is there's a big emphasis, which for me signifies like big, I don't know if like big chapter, but it's a very important part of your life. It's a very important thing for you, mm, that is occurring. So it's not just in general, but that is occurring in the present moment. And I feel here this, she's bringing through this sense of uncertainty a little bit. I don't feel like panic, but I do feel a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of worry, kind of just contemplating about, okay, what the options are, or what the avenues are. And I do feel a back and forth happening where she's kind of drawing me like I'm looking out in one area and then I'm kind of juggling between some options. I'm juggling between some avenues here. And she's now drawing the energy from like my root up to my crown. They do a lot of this kind of stuff with me where it's like kind of interesting, energetic things that I see, and I just have to make sense of them. She's going through it many times. So I see that with you kind of figuring out, like, okay, which is it? What's the way to go? What's the direction? She's drawing me like from the bottom up, from your center, from your root up to your crown, meaning that, we're grounded when we're coming up to connect to the divine information and the wisdom and the insight to our spirit guides. In that space, she's showing me that what you receive, draw it through the heart. And in the heart space, apply the different options that you have on for size. Because I see here, it's like, okay, you're connected and you're like, okay, which way do I go? She's pointing, connect to your heart and look at what you're considering and see how your heart feels about the option. And it's just, I'm laughing because I feel like I've had this message so many times before. Um, so it's just, I feel like that's really needed. Is, look at the options that you have and connect through your heart and see. She's showing me the specific feelings you want to look for. And the first feeling is when you're considering an option, does it make you feel tense? Do you start to kind of tense up a little bit? Do you start to worry a little bit? And for some reason, I feel like kind of pressure on my face. There's pressure occurring in your body. And there's one more symptom she wants to bring forward, and it's this feeling of like, she's like drawing me all the way to the back of my head and just being, I'm not sure if this is a feeling of overwhelm, but it does feel kind of like disconnect a little bit. It seems a little bit disconnected from whatever the option is that you're looking for. If you feel like disconnected from it, breathe. Probably not the option. But now she's drawing me to a different option when we're looking at. And this is the other feeling that she wants to bring through. And this feeling feels more like curiosity, wonder. I'm getting the sense of like what could be, what could happen. It's a bit more of like a peeking, and not peeking like looking, but peeking like this has piqued my interest.
I see.
That kind of feeling of like, I wonder where this could lead. It seems more curious.
Mhm.
It seems definitely less tense and more curious. Kind of like if you were just like a cat wanting to just see what's going to happen, like knock the thing off the table.
Uh-huh.
And it seems more like you could definitely see where this leads. That's what I'm hearing is definitely see where this leads. Like you could entertain this option more. And it doesn't make you feel tense, like I said. If anything, it makes you feel slightly more excited. And there's a very subtle difference there. So this is a great thing to put into practice too, is like, is it excitement or is it tension?
Hmm.
She's reminding you to go back and forth between the options to feel the difference.
Okay.
So do this a few times so you can really solidify in yourself what option is the best option for you. Not the right option, but the best option at this time. Because there's no right and wrong. It's all like just a different path.
Hmm.
So it's really interesting that she's bringing this through. And again, she's like bouncing me between two balls. It's like I'm playing a game of Pong. She's bouncing me between two balls to look at the difference. Look at the difference when you're tuning into one thing, seeing how it fits, seeing how your body reacts, seeing like, ooh, I don't know if that feels good. I don't know, I'm kind of scared. Versus, yeah, I could try this out. Yeah, let me see where it goes. It seems more casual. It seems more nonchalant. And I don't know if you're into tarot, but this option over here that feels more nonchalant feels more like the fool energy to me.
Oh, I
Where
like that.
yeah, it feels more like, and I just got to chill. It feels more like new beginning, a new adventure.
Hmm.
So I feel like she is just closing this out with the reminder it's not just connecting to divine wisdom and just being fed the answer all the time. They also would love for you to feel it for yourself.
Mm.
So that's what she's bringing through here for you is this practice of like feeling into knowing what the right choice is for you, knowing what the best choice is for you, knowing how to do that for yourself. So she's very empowering. So I love her. Very great. And I feel like that's it from her. So how does that leave you feeling?
Yeah, thank you. And thank her, of course, because it does feel like a major fork in the road. I've not had this happen before in my life. I've always been very clear what I need to accomplish and where I'm going and why I'm going in that direction. So it's very awkward for me to not understand why it feels like this big divergence and why there's this very nebulous, miscellaneous choice going on right now that's never happened before, which is it speaks to why I'm struggling so much with it. I'm trying to understand what am I feeling, what am I thinking,
Mhm.
and so it helps me to hear that to try to be a little more patient and like you were saying to try to be more grounded and more present, even if it unfortunately is taking longer than what I would like or what I've had happened in the
Yeah.
past.
Oh yeah. I feel that 100%. Well, let me thank your guide and we will close up with just a nice big full breath full of gratitude and thanks. And on the exhale, just grounding ourselves back down into our body so that we can anchor her wisdom and insight that she blessed us with today, that was received today, and so that we can fully embody that wisdom and so that you can take it forth and implement it into whatever it is you need moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time that you've taken. This has been such a gift. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been so lovely. I feel like this was such an illuminating conversation, I think for us both.
Yes, absolutely. And I really hope people are excited to work with you. And I'm so happy we were able to feature you and your expertise today. So, where can people find you if they would like to work with you?
So my website is KristinaCosmicButterfly.com. You can also find me on YouTube, same name, Kristina Cosmic Butterfly, and I'm on Instagram at _ Cosmic Butterfly. And yeah, I'm always such a big fan of people just reaching out and just sharing their story and the journeys they've been on, what they've learned. So I am an open door. Feel free to reach out if you feel so called.
Thank you again very much for being here today.
Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for joining me this week on Forecasting for Success and let you know that you can read the transcript for each podcast episode on my website, which is linked below in the show notes. I've also included the link to send me your money questions if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast at forecastingforsuccess.com/podcast. And if you're ready to get started on improving your financial literacy and developing your own personalized money plan, I encourage you to join my Forecasting for Success community, where I teach you everything you need to know about budgeting, how to choose your retirement number, how to invest in the stock market, and so much more. I go live in the community each month to check in on your progress and help answer any questions you may have. And it's a supportive community where you can also check in with other members and learn from their experiences as well. I hope you take good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you next week.